Good afternoon and welcome to the Business Hub podcast. I'm your host, Don Workman, and this is a podcast where we pretty much talk to the small and medium-sized business owners of America. And we don't look to reinvent the wheel. We just want to bring you some good tips. And I hope today will be beneficial for you. Today I have, as my special guest, a veteran of the financial services industry, Mr. Joshua Lipka, coming to us from Florida. And we'll be getting into some question and answers with him in just a bit. We're going to have a simple conversation and talk. Today's topic is about the business owner retirement myth. What you don't know could cost you. So I hope you're ready to take some notes. If you're not driving, if you're driving, I wouldn't recommend that, because unless you got somebody with you who's willing to do that. But in any case, I hope you're ready to just get some good information. Hopefully there's something you can walk away with. So let's dive right in. So we're going to give you kind of a summary that many business owners assume their business is like their retirement plan, but that assumption can backfire. In this episode, we'll break down common misconceptions that keep entrepreneurs from building their true financial freedom and explore smarter ways to protect their growth beyond the lines of business. So, number one, the key myth to cover we're going to talk about here. The first one is, my business is my retirement plan. Okay. If this is you, this is not an attack. This is just some things we hear and have heard over the years with dealing with businesses. And, I like the phrase, what you don't know is what you don't know. So it's not a bad thing. It's not a good thing, but, it's always an opportunity to learn. So the danger, what if you can't sell or your business value isn't what you expect? Now, we've seen a lot of ups and downs in the last 20 years, right? Thinking back to '08, when there's a lot of businesses, including small restaurants, local stores, mom and pop shops, that have gone under because of the downturn in the economy. Then again, in 2020 with COVID, it goes without saying, a lot of restaurants, a lot of more mom and pop shops went out of business. And, they were relying on that as their retirement plan. But, when the economy takes a dip, those are things you really can't predict. So let me just ask my colleague here, Josh, kind of give me your input on that. I mean, that's a very important point, the danger. So what if you can't sell, your business value isn't what you expect?
Yeah, that's a great point, Don. First of all, thanks for the invitation. I'm very happy to be here. But you make a great point. I've seen people run into the situation where they feel their business is valued more than what it actually is, and that can throw somebody's plans out of whack. And the other big issue that I've seen is that they just have a hard time finding someone to purchase the business in general. So it's always good to be have more of a diversified plan when it comes to your exit strategy.
And that's a great point too, because even the mom and pop shops, the least recent study I saw that, while that's a good number, it's like 40% roughly of the heirs to this mom and pop shop, they don't want to go in the same business mom and dad did. I mean, mom and dad might have had a pizza parlor, but they
Mm,
got bigger dreams to be an airline pilot, which there's nothing wrong with. But,
that's a great
if you
point.
don't have that next generation to carry that mantle, then you run into stuff like that. So
Sure.
is there a lot? Let's just kind of to talk about this a little bit about market dependence, because you did bring that up, where if you can't find a buyer, because of a variety of reasons, and again, the valuation timing and the risk of oversaturation, right? I know in the town I live in right here, they're bringing another coffee shop. I mean, what we don't need is another coffee shop.
We have plenty of those.
We have like a town of about 25,000. We probably have like 9 coffee shops. And then you throw in the nail salons, the barbers, you get it. So
Sure.
it's just one of those things when you have a business that, if you're oversaturated in your community, that could really impact your ability, especially if you're depending on your business to be your retirement plan.
Yeah, that could really throw your plan out of whack because there's almost no accounting for that as the years go by.
And here's a quick tip though. Diversify. Diversify. Yes, it's good to have your business as part of your plan, but diversify that. And what I mean by that is personal vehicles such as a SEP, single employer pension, or an IRA, solo 401k, annuities, and there's others. And you talk to
Sure.
your financial professional about that. So here's the second myth we're going to touch on. I'll just sell the business when I'm ready.
Hmm.
Now, we've all been there where we've had, and this is, I'm not talking about just, I'm just talking about general. We've all had plans. We've all wanted to do things. When I get to this, I'll do this.
Sure.
And in business, when you have your own business, when you're ready, is may not be the time when you're ready, if that makes sense.
Yeah, the market to sell that business just might not be where it is when you feel you're ready to move on.
That's true.
That could be risky, sure. There's always the unforeseen issues that we just you can't plan for, but we all know that life will throw you a curveball from time to time, and, you have to be able to handle it, sure.
Sure. And when you're ready to sell, the reality is only a small percentage of businesses sell successfully.
Mm,
It's either they shut down or they take a loss, whatever, different things. So timing is one thing we touched on a little bit. Buyer readiness. And I know we just moved recently, and here's something: the emotional attachment status.
that's a good point. A lot of people don't take that into consideration, but it's a big issue.
And you're right too. I know just from moving, I mean, there was things that, man, I didn't want to get rid of that because of this. And as a business owner, I mean, if you want to sell, but yet you've got all your tchotchkes on the wall, I mean, like it's like walking into a Cracker Barrel.
Sure,
You got that kind of thing, and well, no, we can't do that. And the buyer, they don't want to leave it as is. They want to put their mark on it. So
sure. They wanna do
there's
it
just
their way.
things to consider, and so that's it's always number two that we're going to look at, and I hope that we're bringing up some, just making you think. If nothing else, you maybe have got aha or a moment.
Mm,
So here's one that I've heard, and I'm sure you have too, Josh. I'll work forever. I
right.
was talking to a buddy of mine who, in my former career, he's probably in his 70s. I'm going to work until I can't work no more.
Mm.
Okay, and that's fine. That's admirable. I'm not knocking it at all.
Yeah, when we're in our
Honestly,
50s and 60s, maybe that seems like a very realistic, plan, but, age catches up to us all, and unfortunately, it doesn't always work out that way. Health issues can play a big part in someone's exit strategy.
absolutely. And on that same token, market changes and burnout. Burnout is very real with business
Yeah,
owners.
for sure.
And so, yeah, that's working forever doesn't always turn to be forever in some cases. So let's talk about this: the importance of building systems that let the owners stay away. Now, I think back to the book Rich Dad Poor Dad when it had the quadrant of the four types of people, right? It talks about the employee, the solopreneur, the business owner, or the investment. And to me, I came away with thinking of a system, right? We know about the big boys, the McDonald's, the Walmarts, etc. They've all got systems in place. So
That's
if
right.
you built a system in your business, whether it be you know, through human resources, inventory, what have you.
Having a system in place, Don, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but
That's okay.
when you can add to your income off the hard work of others as part of a team and a group effort. I mean, like you said, the entrepreneur has a tremendous advantage over the employee or even the employer.
And you took the shortcut, and I appreciate that, 'cause sometimes I get a little long-winded. So, okay, well, very good. So here's a tip for you, though. Transition from self-employed to business owner, build transferable value. So we were touching on the book. If you have not read it, Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki is a great book. A lot of people want to work for themselves, but then they work themselves on the ground. He talks about where you can go from being an entrepreneur to being a business owner, which then if your business is run right and you've been allowed to grow, you can be an investor. So then it takes you from the business owner who's got the systems in place, where that business owner then moves to the investor. So where then if he wants to involved in philanthropic opportunities or other things in his community, that's where that that quadrant comes into place, and it's worth reading. If you have not read it, I'd encourage you to pick up a copy. I know Half Price Books has it. You're probably your public library, but
Yeah.
I will tell you personally, it's a great read. I think
That's
you'd
a great
agree.
point in general. I mean, having the successful system in place is more than half the battle. So even if it's not your system, but you're partnered with someone who has that system in place, if you're coachable and you can repeat that system because it's been proven as a successful system, again, a tremendous advantage.
That's great. That's a great point. All right, so we're moving right along here. So the next point we're going to look at, the next myth, I should say, we don't need to save outside the business. Now, I would say that's risky. You're investing every dollar into operating instead of your personal assets. Now, I'm not saying you got to, 50-50, but you've got to sock some away. I'm a
Right.
quick example. Now, I love baseball, and the Los Angeles Dodgers are my favorite team, and they just won the World Series. But you're hearing rumblings about how the Dodgers are ruining baseball. But all of these free agents were from these other teams that had opportunity. But what I've heard that the Dodgers spent up to 75% of putting their money back into their club, where these other teams were and they'll spend probably the flip side of that 40% and then pocket the money.
Mm,
Why do I say that? Because you're reinvesting every money into the operation instead of personal expenses. So these guys, while they think they're doing the right thing by not investing in their business, it's hurting their business.
mm.
Well, we're not looking to do that here. We're not looking to hurt your business. We're looking to help you think of your personal assets after the fact when you are able to step away, because that's going to be the important part. When you're 70, 75, maybe even earlier, if you've been fortunate enough to where your business is flourishing and you feel like you're at that place. Let's talk about this. There's tax advantage accounts. We've talked about some vehicles out there, liquidity plans, and balancing reinvestment. So it's a very, I don't want to say white glove kind of thing, but it's something you need to be aware of. And then if you've got a financial professional that you use, make sure that they're aware. And what Josh and I both focus on is more principal protection, because when you get later in life, you're going to want to keep more of your money. So that's just something free on the side. So on the tip on this particular point, pay your future self first. They
That's
always
a
tell
great,
you that.
great lesson. It's a great lesson, and I was very fortunate enough to have somebody teach me that very early in life. And it's one I've never forgotten, and it's one I pass along whenever someone new comes on board. Pay yourself first, for sure.
And let me ask you this, just because you've got the experience, would you say 10, 20%? Isn't that pretty common to right in there somewhere, whatever
Uh,
you feel comfortable with?
yeah, yeah, everybody's situation is going to be different, obviously. But if you pay yourself first, then you're never going to be living off of credit. You're always going to have a budget that you can manage.
And that's true, because it's not about the fact that you're saving X amount of money. It's about the consistency of it. And you make that great point of, you had this built into you when you were younger. You're still a young guy, but when you were younger, and now you're still carrying that forward, and that's a great point. Great example as well too. So, all
Yeah, thank you.
right, so let's look at the fifth myth. Easy for me to say. I keep
Hmm.
hitting this and it messes with me. All right, there it is. When I sell, I'll get a big payday.
Mm. Yeah, in a perfect world, that's a great end game to have, but we've already touched on a couple of reasons why that may not happen. Whether it's the valuation of your business is not what you expected it to be, or the market is not where you thought it would be, or the buyers are not as plentiful as you thought it would be. I mean, there's several reasons. And this all
Yes,
comes down to diversity. Diversification is what you and I talk about a lot. But regardless of industry, it's important for everyone.
and that's a great point, because you brought that right up. And out of the problem with this myth is you run into taxes and the debt, because taxes fluctuate, go up. More they go up, the more than they go down, right? And if you happen to get into debt because of market volatility, and you end up using credit or go overextended, and then the market timing, like Josh was talking about, it could shrink your opportunity for that big payday. You know, if you don't hit the market just right, that could impact that big payday you've been dreaming of. And We talked about those different programs in place. Capital gains is something that you have to be aware of as well. You have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, there's lots of when you mentioned taxes, my brain started going because that is an area where a lot of people forget to plan for into their big picture, into their equation. So whether it's capital gain taxes that they're not aware of, taxes in general, it causes some people or causes people to have to rethink and reorganize their plan because they didn't prepare for it as much as they should have.
And that's the thing, you've gotta stay on top of this and make sure that you have an exit strategy in place. That's one thing that some people think, "Well, I'm just gonna get a big payday and off I go into the wild blue yonder with my check." Well,
Right.
maybe, maybe not. And there's also the fact of there's a buyer financing risk. Maybe
Good point.
their financing falls through. I mean, this is something that even I never thought of, but once I got looking into this more, it really makes a lot of sense. So here's a tip for you. Create multiple streams of retirement income, something passive, not just the one sale event. It's good to have multiple streams. And back in the day, they used to talk about the three-legged stool. This I've heard from other friends who've been in the finance industry longer than myself, but they talked about having three different components to your retirement. So I think those are some great ideas, and that's a great tip. Let's see
It
here.
is.
We're just about finished here. Now we're gonna get into some questions for you, Josh. The
Okay.
spotlight on you, a little interrogation.
Sure.
What is the most common retirement mistake you see among small business owners?
Most common retirement mistake amongst small business owners. Probably not preparing for retirement early enough and not saving enough over the years. Because it's a very easy topic for people to postpone. Okay. I'm in my 30s. I'm in my 40s. I don't need to start worrying about it yet. But everyone who I sit down with in their 50s and 60s, the number one comment I get, Don, is I wish I started earlier and I wish I saved more when I was younger.
Mm,
So that would probably be number one right at the top.
wow, that's huge, and I think we can all say that in some degree, especially in your personal finance. I wish I'd bought more insurance. I wish I'd done this. So that's very valuable, and I appreciate that. So, how early should an owner start planning their exit or retirement?
Well, exit strategy is going to be different for everyone, but they should start thinking about it. Again, I think it comes back to what we just spoke about. It's never too early. Again, the biggest mistake is that people wait too long. So even on a small scale, to get started when you are younger in your 30s and 40s, it's just going to benefit you and your loved ones when you get to that, right? Almost on a daily basis with our team.
Yes, sir.
And again, everybody, I always preface this by saying everybody's situation is different. But just to name a couple, like you said, well, life insurance. Life insurance is definitely a way to protect your loved ones. In addition to tax deferred retirement savings. Um, Index growth is a strategy that can protect your long term goals for you and your loved ones as well. Um, so, yeah, there's several out there.
The ones that came to mind was a fixed indexed annuity,
Mm,
which kind of gives you that growth protection as long as the tax incentive. And what you really, what we focus on a lot is tax incentive type programs. We can do the others as well, but everybody can do the others that are in our business. That's what sets us apart, I think, is being able to handle the principal protection and the tax strategy. So this has been great. I got to tell you, I know you probably are a little nervous about coming on, but I think my audience think you did a great job.
oh, I appreciate that. And I appreciate the invitation. This has been great. Thank you.
Sure. So your business may fund your lifestyle, but always it shouldn't always define your retirement. True financial independence means your future doesn't depend on selling your business at the right time. It depends on the choices you make today. Thanks for tuning in to the Business Hub podcast. If you found today's episode helpful, share it with another business owner who could use a little clarity about their future. Until next time, I'm Don Workman, reminding you it's never too early to protect what you've built and plan for what's next. Thanks. Have a great day.